Guys, so today we're talking about the Shazam sequel. So, if you didn't know, they made a Shazam sequel and no one watched it. Which, yeah, no one watched it. But it was still a better movie than what Marvel put out previously. Yeah, it was still a better movie than Quantumania. First of all, you can actually see the characters. Oh, yeah, you can actually see the characters. You can actually see them interact and talk. It's basically more of the same of the first movie. Basically, these two Greek people want to essentially want to get revenge on the human race for stuff because they stole, because they stole all the powers and the world was destroyed. So basically, they want to get the revenge on the champions. That's essentially what the film is about. Okay, this movie was actually a bit funny. Where it's unlike Quantumania. Yeah, the characters from the first movie are actually likable and not boring. As well. The villains were better than King. King was just there. Quantumania was just there to introduce King. The only problem with this movie is that basically this movie was pointless. Why? Because they're rebooting the DCEU anyways. Same thing with Aquaman The Lost Kingdom. Both of these movies are kind of pointless to watch now. But hey, if because basically the film ended with Shazam being invited to the Justice Society, which means they were planning to set it up before the DCEU was rebooted. Because I think the main reason why no one went to go see this movie and people don't really like this movie too much is because the DCEU is being rebooted. And because it's being rebooted, no one went to go see this movie. I think it'll be the same fate with Aquaman, the sequel to Aquaman, because everybody is because Flash is expected to do pretty well at the box office. So I think the main reason is because people just don't care about the Snack Snyder, the old DCEU. Because Shazam! Fury of the Gods and Aquaman the Lost Kingdom is the end of the old DCEU. And also, so it is basically a fun comic book movie. It isn't really anything special, anything unique. It's on par with something like Miss Marvel. Yes, I'm comparing Shazam! Fury of the Gods to Miss Marvel. I do not know why people hated that so much anyways. But it is definitely a movie that I think you should see. It's definitely worth watching more than Quantumania. Okay? At least they actually acted like the characters in the first movie. And they basically said, okay, you know what? It made this movie work the first time. Let's make it work a second time. Quantumania, it was just, I already made a whole video about Quantumania. Just go watch that if you really want to hear my opinions on Quantumania. The dragon was pretty cool. And they even made a Game of Thrones joke, which was pretty funny. Also, spoilers, Shazam dies at the end and gets revived by Wonder Woman, because apparently Wonder Woman is a god now. Now, again, all of this doesn't matter because of rebooting the DCEU. So, yeah. Yeah, so, overall, it is a fun movie, but there are a few big gripes of the movie. They introduced the unicorns and they only showed them once and then never again as well. Well, and yeah, they also have this new girl in the movie, and basically she is one of the gods, and basically she's the last of them as it gets turned to a human by one of them, and then one of them turns her back to a god. This movie is just a bit confusing at the end, because all of this is gonna not be canon anyways because of rebooting the DCEU. Anyways, so overall, this movie is decent. It's not really, the greatest movie of all time, but again, I think this movie deserved $400 million more than Quantumania. Quantumania was such a train wreck. Both movies lost money, so basically comparing two movies that lost money anyways. So overall, this movie was better than Quantumania by leaps and bounds. Definitely comparing that to Quantumania was basically, Marvel's version of Batman and Robin. At least Batman and Robin had some funny scenes to it, and the cheese can be appreciated. Quantumania was just boring and had dull visuals, but Shazam Fury of the Gods is definitely one of the. It's not as good as the first Shazam. The first Shazam is way better than this movie as well, but it's still okay. It's still good. It's still better than all of Marvel's recent offerings like Thor and Thunder, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and Quantumania, as I mentioned already, and Black Widow, and of course the Eternals. Okay, you know, I'm glad that they decided to make they still decided to make this instead of canceling it. They still lost money on this movie, but I'm still glad they decided to make this movie instead of canceling it because they will reboot the DCU. Also, this movie was way better than Black Adam, okay? Because at least this movie was funny, as well. But unfortunately, we'll not be getting a Shazam 3, which I'm actually fine with at the as well because we're rebooting the DCEU anyways. And hopefully James Gunn does a pretty good job with the DCEU because James Gunn is really good at making superhero movies. Let's look at the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy and the Suicide Squad, which Suicide Squad is a really amazing movie and so deserves to be watched by more people. And unfortunately, no one went to go see it at the box office as well. But again, Suicide Squad was probably a movie that found a life on streaming, because especially after the Peacemaker series went out, because obviously people really liked this movie so much that they made a Peacemaker series. And I think this movie did really, 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 really well on streaming, especially on HBO Max as well. Because I think this is on HBO Max, and they released it day-to-day streaming, which is why this movie flopped, because they also released it on HBO Max, which basically gave no one the incentive to go see it in the theaters. I think that was a big mistake on James Gunn's part and Warner Bros. Part to release this on HBO Max day one, okay? Because that really killed this movie in the theaters. But I think that this movie made enough money on streaming to basically give James Gunn the position at DC. And it's really Marvel's fault, too, because they basically dissed James Gunn for, the controversies, even though it was stuff that he was cleared of anyways. So overall, Suicide Squad was a pretty good movie. But yeah, Shazam Fury of the Gods was a pretty decent movie. I would give it around like a 7 out of 10 movie, which yes, makes it way better than the score I gave Quantumania. It was refreshing to see an actually fun, and also I think another reason it's because it's actually just refreshing to see an actually fun movie to watch. A movie that and yes, people didn't like this movie because they didn't take it more seriously. But who cares? If you want to watch a superhero movie series that takes itself more seriously, let's watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because obviously that movie is really good. So yeah, overall, this movie is a bit overhated just because it lost money at the box office as well. But yeah, that is about Shazam Fury of the Gods. Overall, it basically is described this here. It is overall entertaining. It's electrifying events with emotional beats. Definitely way better than Quantumania. That's for sure. Probably not going to be better than Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because, again, James Gunn just knows how to make movies, especially superhero movies. Goodbye.